In this video, I'm going to be walking you through what your financial advisor isn't telling you if you earned $1 million or more last year, and why almost everything you've been handed as advice up to this point is calibrated for someone making a fraction of what you actually make. See, through working with business owners and executives and high-earning professionals at Perspective Wealth, I've discovered that the gap between what $1 million plus earner actually needs and what their current advisor is delivering is enormous. And that gap is costly for people in your bracket. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to walk you through 3 specific things that I find most advisors will not tell you, what each one is actually costing you right now, and then a real plan for $1 million plus earner and what that actually looks like. Let's get into it. What actually goes wrong in the typical $1 million plus earner advisory relationship actually starts structurally. See, the industry is built to serve the mass affluent, not high income earners. And so the advice that you would give to someone making $100,000 is very different than the advice you'd give someone making $1 million. The tax dynamics are different, equity structures are different, the estate planning decisions are different, and the investment opportunities are different. And that creates a real gap. We also find that the industry has attempted to serve high income earners more through products than integration. So we get $1 million income earner to meet with us, and they will kind of bring almost a junk drawer of different products. There's no synergy across them. And then even worse, there's this siloed effect that's kind of operating across their advisors, their CPA, their attorney. No one's talking to one another. So structurally, the $1 million plus income earner is really put at a disadvantage at that point. You know, the gap is real, and it starts structurally, but let's go into the 3 things that we are finding that you're not being told about as $1 million plus income earner. First and foremost, taxes. See, we are finding, we'll ask $1 million plus income earner, has your advisor in the last 2 years asked for your tax return and actually read it line by line? See, we found that if we go through that tax return line by line, we can start to uncover missed opportunities and also understand the bigger picture of what's going on in their financial situation that you can't get if you don't do that. We're also finding that tax planning is usually missed. It's a missing component. It's a missing piece of most $1 million plus income earner situation. See, they might be relying on their CPA in March or April, who's so busy doing tax returns, they can't really give you effective tax strategies. And the advisor is generally kind of pushing tax planning off on the CPA. And we find if we just do 2 things, we can greatly enhance their tax outcomes. First and foremost is we build a relationship with their CPA. There's got to be synergy between us and their CPA. Number 2, well, there has to be tax planning, a fall tax planning meeting plus year-round tax planning access. So if we just have that tax planning meeting in the fall, that makes such a big difference. So we have in-house CPAs that can actually help us support the clients in those conversations and get their actual CPA who is doing their tax return looped into the mix. You do those 2 things, that's where some of those 6-figure tax opportunities can really be found. Now, to kind of piggyback off of tax, we find the second thing that's really missed for $1 million plus income earners is the way that they invest. That does start with a tax lens. See, if you make $100,000, taxes really aren't going to affect the way that you invest. You make $1 million and taxes are going to affect the way that you invest. A couple good examples are, taxable bonds inside of a taxable account. Well, that's just income coming to you that could have been strategically placed elsewhere. Number 2, we find realizing of short-term capital gains, which creates this ongoing ordinary income tax for no reason most of the time. And then we find that there's the use of mutual funds, which creates this phantom tax through something called capital gains distribution. So you have to invest differently when you're making $1 million a year than if you're making $100,000 a year. Now, the other key component is the vehicles, the contribution vehicles that you have access to at $1 million a year of income is very different than at $100,000 a year of income. Max out your 401k, put money in your IRA. That's generally the advice that an advisor would give. And those are all great and good things, but you've probably actually phased out of some of those due to your income. And the most you could do into that is easy math, 30,000 a year. Well, you made $1 million. There's a massive opportunity to still fill up other buckets. And so we start looking at things like the mega backdoor Roth, looking at things like cash balance plans or profit share plans. There's charitable structures like donor advised funds and charitable trusts. There's long short investing. There's direct indexing investing. See, there's all these additional and unique vehicles that you have access to at your income level that most advisors are not bringing to you. And that's going to leave a ton of wealth on the table long term. Now that you've seen how most advisors miss the basics of just reading your tax return, recommending the right vehicles, and you want a real plan, one that's actually built around your specific situation, click the link below. Schedule a time with our team at Perspective Wealth. We're going to look at your specific situation and we're going to show you how to optimize your plan altogether so you can apply this to your very own situation. Now, let's talk about the third thing. I actually think it's the most important of the three. It's what we call the equity rocket ship. The equity rocket ship is the unique equity participation that you have because you either own a business or you're working in a business, and it can be the 2x multiplier. It can be the difference between a good financial situation and a great financial situation. So that could be entity structuring. That could be tax elections. That could be how we're going to deal with AMT tax. It's going to be how we want to model out dealing with all your equity compensation. There are so many facets to the equity rocket ship component. And we find most advisors, they're not even touching that. It is really left up to the client to figure out. But if we spend a significant amount of time planning around that, that's where we can create 7-figure plus wealth gain opportunities over the long term. Now, you've seen the three things that most advisors aren't going to tell you, but let me put them together in a way that what an actual plan really looks like. And that fundamentally is integration. So I have this beautiful little illustration here that connects the dots. No pun intended. First and foremost, we have to center this whole thing around your goals. That is the compass. But a well-oiled machine, a full picture financial plan is going to look at that equity rocket ship that I mentioned, tax planning, retirement planning, investment management, estate planning, and insurance. All of it working together around your goals. Most people tell us they have a lot of missing pieces when they see this illustration. So what does the back end of this look like? Everyone's situation's different, and so you have to build it out in a manner that fits their needs. But these 8 core build outs are fundamentally what our clients receive. So it starts with articulated goals. We have to articulate the goals. Then we have to build a balance sheet. When we know what they own and what they owe, we now have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done going forward. We need to have a reviewed tax return. We're going to have a tax projection. We're going to have retirement tracking. We're going to have protection and estate planning in place. So insurance, estate planning, all of that's dialed in. Equity modeling and portfolio architecture. Do we have a optimized and tax efficient investment strategy? So we have those 8 things cleanly built out, functioning around your goals. It's pretty amazing what happens. So now you've seen the 3 things that advisors won't tell you if you made $1 million or more last year. And that's not reading your tax return, to not utilizing contribution vehicles well, skipping year-round tax planning, leaving entity and equity comp structures unaddressed. You can stop accepting generic advice and start looking for integrated work based on your income level, that actually start looking for the integrated work that your income level actually requires. So if you want a real plan built around your specific situation, click the link below. Schedule a call with our team, Perspective Wealth. We're here to show you exactly what's been missing and how to fix it for your specific situation. I'll see you in the next video.